Once upon a time, in a serene and quite low-altitude village, lives a man named Adebola. He was such a strong, impressible, and hardworking man, but he was very poor. Adebola did all he could to make ends meet, working on people's farm during the day and supplying water from the stream at night. He did all sorts of tedious jobs. One day, the queen of the village went out on an official assignment and lost her golden ring. She was really disturbed because it was an expensive gift from her father. She sent her maids to search for the lost ring. A young man came and introduced himself as Adebola, but he was denied access to the palace because of his looks. But when the king heard the commotion, he sent his guards to investigate and bring him in. Adebola was brought before the king and he explained that he had found the ring on his way to the farm and knew it must belong to the queen because he saw her earlier. The queen was so happy because the ring was a very special gift. The king asked why he chose to return the jewelry instead of keeping or selling it. And Adebola answered that the ring doesn't belong to him and keeping or selling it would mean stealing. His response really impressed the king. He decided to employ him. One day, Adebola saw a gorgeous lady at the palace. He was really mesmerized by her looks and smile. She was really beautiful. He was told by others that her name is Wurola and she's the last daughter of the king. Adebola tried greeting Wurola, but he was surprised that she completely ignored him and looked at him with disdain. Wurola was such a beautiful lady, but she was also very haughty and rude. One day, Adebola was sent on an errand by the queen. As he was heading out of the palace, he heard Wura call his name. She was in the company of her friends. He greeted them. Wurola said she needed someone to run an errand for her immediately. Adebola tried to explain that I was on an errand for the queen. Wurola got so mad and slapped Adebola. One of her maids, ENITAN, offered to help Wurola, but she also slapped her too. The king heard the commotion and called Wurola and asked her to apologize to Adebola and ENITAN. The king said, "You are not better than anyone else, and no one else is better than you." She apologized grudgingly and left. Adebola also apologized to ENITAN, the maid. Wurola had slapped earlier. But when he looked into ENITAN's eyes, he saw a very pretty and humble lady who was hidden in a simple clothes. From then, Adebola formed a deep, bonded friendship with ENITAN. Wurola noticed their affairs and made fun of them both. Adebola told ENITAN about his intentions to marry her, and she introduced him to her parents. Her father was a palm wine tapper and her mother was a weaver. Adebola informed the king and the queen about his intentions to marry ENITAN, and they were very happy and decided to give him a house and some piece of land, in addition to gracing the occasion with their presence and inviting some of their royal friends. The king wished he was marrying Wurola. Adebola was very happy when he heard all the king had intentions of giving him. On the day of the wedding, Wurola, in the company of her friends, made fun of the groom and his poor bride. She wondered how they would survive as they were both poor. They got to Wurola's father's compound where the wedding was to hold. The groom danced in with his friends, who also worked as the palace guards. Wurola and her friends giggled. The groom went to prostrate before the king, who represented his father, since he said his father was far away and was very old. Next, it was ENITAN's turn to dancing with her friends, who also worked as the palace maids. Wurola and her friends giggled more. As the ceremony proceeded, a guard came in to whisper something into the king's ear, and he also whispered to his wife. They both stood up and went out. Wurola and her friends, curious to know what was happening, followed her parents. Standing outside was a convoy of cars and one of the king of the five kingdoms of their region. The king and the queen paid their homage to the king and his queen. Wurola was confused and wondered why her father had to invite such important personality. But she noticed the familiar face. It was no other but Adebola. He was now in his royal attire. She was shocked. Her father called her and her friend to greet the king and introduced Adebola as the only child and the heir apparent. King Afolabi smiled and explained that he had asked his son Adebola to disguise and search for a suitable bride who would love and accept him for who he is and not his wealth or status or power. Wurola and her friends could not giggle anymore. They became ashamed. ENITAN and her parents were so happy to have such a humble man as their in-law. Moral lessons to be learned are: how you treat people is the only true measure of your character. Don't look down on others. Some good gifts don't come wrapped in fancy wrappings. Thank you.